Hello, everyone. My name is Cooper Hancock, and I'm joined with,
Sutton Bassett. Hi, guys.
and today will be our first ever episode of the On Deck Circle brought to you by Sage Creek Sports Lounge. We are just two high school students, and we're going to be covering some MLB recent news. And we can just start it off by talking about the MLB Lockout, which is a perfect time to start talking about baseball because right now there really isn't any new info going on right now. But the MLB Lockout occurred at 12:01 Thursday morning, and this occurred due to the collective bargaining agreement between the Major League Baseball and the Major League Baseball Players Association expired. And now all the news that we've been waiting for, some big signings that we've been waiting are going to be halted, and we won't really know where those guys are going to be landing until a month from now.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
And the last one was 25 years ago, and that was the 1994 season, and it canceled over 938 games, the entire postseason and the World Series, which is crazy.
So, yeah, we're hoping for the agreement to or this lockout to only happen for probably a month, and hopefully they can reach an agreement before spring training happens. But I've heard that there is a possibility that spring training games could get canceled, but it's just another angering thing that baseball fans have to go through. But
yeah, it's locking out the fans, not really the players, which is unfortunate.
Yeah. It gives us time to reflect on a crazy offseason that's already occurred, though, even though it's only been like a month since the Braves took home the World Series. But we've had loads of signings already occur. So that's what we're going to pivot over to now. So to start off, we have let's just dive into a couple of teams that have definitely made a splash so far in this offseason. We have the Mets, who have signed both Scherzer, Starling Marte, Mark Canha, Eduardo Escobar. So that Marte, Canha, and Escobar signings all occurred on the same day. And in the next coming days, they end up signing Max Scherzer.
It's a big steal for the Mets.
So Scherzer is now making about like $40 million a year now with the 3-year, $130 million contract, even though he is getting towards the upper end of the 30s, and will still be making one of the top yearly salaries of any player in baseball. So Mets are definitely continuing on with signing these big players in a pursuit to actually make the playoffs after past years. Like last year, they added Lindor and Strowman, and they had like a top roster that many people predicted to move on, but they ended up having injuries and just players not putting it together, so they end up missing out in the playoffs.
Yeah.
So, Son, do you want to talk about what the Rangers have done?
Okay, so the Rangers have acquired Marcus Semien, Corey Seager, and John Gray. And that's going to be good for Corey Seager. But everyone's saying that his career is kind of over. I personally don't think that, but it's a 10-year contract, and he's getting $325 million for it. So he's getting paid. That's a long time to be on the Rangers.
Yeah, so just like in the span of 1 day, like span of like 2 days, the Rangers, who were like 103 losses last year, have just like transformed into having one of the best middle infields in baseball. And I've also heard they're not done yet either. They may try to get another starter, maybe improve on that first base spot too as well. But Marcus Semien and Corey Seager is just definitely blew the entire baseball world away, especially from a team like the Rangers.
Yeah, exactly. That's a really good 2-for deal that the Rangers got this year.
Yeah, so they did say they were gonna pay, and they were gonna go pretty crazy during this offseason to start it off. But getting Semien and Seager, because a lot of people were predicting Semien to just go back to that shortstop, because shortstop is definitely a position in a lot of the baseball that teams definitely needed. But so Semien was definitely a guy out there that teams are looking to get. And but it looks like I mean, it was only probably a few hours that people thought Simeon was going to be their starting shortstop, but then they went on to get Corey Seager. So he'll stay at second base and hopefully for the Rangers put up those insane numbers that he did last year.
Mm-hmm. All right.
Okay. Yeah.
Moving
So
on.
do you want to include some of the other signings?
Yeah, so the Mariners got Robbie Ray for 5 years, and didn't they get Frazier from the Padres too?
Yes. Yeah. Also in a trade, they got
In a
Adam Frazier.
trade.
Mhm.
Yeah, they got Robbie Ray for 5 years for $115 million. And so that's good for the Mariners, though they had a pretty good running, but they got knocked out. They couldn't make it to the postseason last season, but it was still a pretty good run for them, especially being the Mariners.
So now they have the Cy Young on their team.
Yeah,
And
that's quality.
the Mariners, I feel like there may not be done either because I've heard that they've been showing interest in Trevor Story and maybe moving him to third base. So
Yeah.
the Mariners, who already surprised the baseball world last year, will maybe not even surprise the baseball world, but may even have that team that looks like they deserve to be in the playoffs. So last year they had a lot of heart and a lot of teams wanted them to get in as underdogs, but this year they may actually look like a playoff team.
Yeah, they have a good chance this year.
You want to keep going?
Yeah, I'll keep going. So next up for the Tigers, they actually acquired Javier Baez for 6 years for 140 million. I'm actually surprised about that. I didn't think they had the dinero to give to Baez.
Yeah, well, they actually, a lot of people thought Correa was going to be going to Detroit, but it seems like they didn't have the money that Correa was asking for, and settling on someone like Baez is definitely a good move, especially for a team like the Tigers, who also kind of like the Mariners surprised the baseball world last year because they definitely have seemed like in the past like 3 or 4 years like a team that's automatically going to be one of the worst records in baseball, 100 losses, stuff like that. But they end up keeping it close and produced a pretty solid year on a rebuilding team. So adding someone like Baez, and they also added a few other players, including like Eduardo Rodriguez from the Red Sox, and then also and they also did a trade where they acquired their new starting catcher Tucker Barnhart from the Reds. So Tigers, just like the Mariners, are adding some key pieces in an attempt to I feel like for the Tigers, it may take a couple of years though.
All right, next up for the Blue Jays, they have acquired Kevin Gossman for 5 years and $110 million.
So Gosman, who was on the Giants, is now heading over to the Blue Jays. In a recent quote, he was pretty disappointed that his Giants from last year, who finished actually with the best record in baseball, ended up not going all the way after getting knocked out by the Dodgers. But he's hoping to flip the script and feels like to get above that hump that they had that they couldn't get over last year will be on that Blue Jay team that missed out on the playoffs, but was in a stacked division, so would have made the playoffs if they were in any other division. So
yeah, they just had bad luck, but the Blue Jays are pretty stacked last year, especially with Vladdy, who was the home run leader for a bit, and he was doing good. And now the Blue Jays got Gossman, so they're going to come back better.
So they kind of just a switcheroo, like they lost Ray, but they got Gossman back. But Barrios signed a big extension for them. They still got Ryu. They got Manoa, who was really good last year. Maybe throw in who's that? Oh, Nate Pearson. So Blue Jays are looking good. And they probably will look to add someone like Chris Bryant and some other pieces to boost that team even more to compete with teams like the Red Sox, Yankees, Rays.
And another signing finally were for the Cubs. They have acquired Marcus Strowman for 3 years and $71 million.
So Strowman, who's been kind of teasing it a bit in the last couple months of the year, dishing it out to the Yankees and a lot of teams seeing interest in Strowman, including like the Red Sox and other teams. But Strowman finally decided on the Cubs, and that's definitely going to help out the Cubs after a very poor year last year, and also trading away most of their key pieces. It's a bit confusing though for the Cubs, because Strowman is definitely one of those guys who for 3 years there's very it's pretty much only positives you'll probably get from him. So for the Cubs, I was definitely surprised to see that they got Strowman, but he'll definitely help them out, and we could see at the end of towards the end of the offseason that the Cubs may actually try to get back into the win column and maybe put up a playoff threat this year after losing Rizzo, Bryant, Baez, Lester, all those guys.
Yeah, that was a upset. But for some smaller signings, I mean, they're scattered about in there, but I'm going to talk about one for my favorite team, the Red Sox. We actually recently got Jackie Bradley Jr. back to the Red Sox, which is great. He's going to be home in right field again. But I'm pretty sure we gave up Renfroe, which I'm not happy about.
Yeah, that happened like the night right before, just a couple of days ago, right before the lockdown happened. But it was definitely a surprise seeing Renfroe go. But I have a feeling that just getting rid of Renfroe and then putting Jackie Bradley maybe at that backup center field area, leaving that right field open for someone like Suzuki, who's one of the I'm pretty sure Suzuki, or I forgot. I'm pretty sure that's what his last name is. One of the top Japanese prospects that is looking to sign with a Major League Baseball team this year, moving over from Japan. But Red Sox could be looking at that
after the lockdown. We'll see what happens.
Mm-hmm. You want to list? You also guys got three veteran pitchers as well. If you want to talk about those,
our bullpen was kind of looking down last year. It wasn't very good. We needed a better one, and now we have Paxton, Wacha, and Hill. So that's going to be a good addition to our bullpen, I think.
Yeah, so a couple of them will probably be starters, but if they want to throw any of those guys in there, because that's 3 starters, and they also still have guys like Sale and Pivetta and Houck, and so some of those guys may be long relievers as they are getting older, but Paxton will be good for will definitely be one of those starters, and hopefully to bounce back after a year where he had Tommy John. So
yeah, that'd be solid.
So some of the bigger signings that we haven't covered yet, so we got Avisail Garcia actually to the Marlins. I had it wrong right here, but it's actually to the Marlins. He used to be at the Brewers. And the Marlins also got traded for Stallings from the Pirates to get to their starting catcher role. And they also traded Joey Wendell from the Rays. So the Marlins are also adding some smaller pieces under the radar that would definitely help them. We also got Noah Syndergaard to the Angels. Angels have always needed a good starter, and now they have Noah Syndergaard, who's, when he's healthy, has put up some of the better numbers in the league. So he'll definitely be great for them.
Yeah, Noah's always solid.
And then we got Verlander back with the Astros. A lot of teams are up there, like the Yankees, looking to get Verlander, but he decided back to the Astros. Actually, I heard that signing was never officially announced, and now in the lockdown. So it seems like he's going back to Astros, but not officially announced. So most likely it'll just be announced when the lockdown is over, but you never know. Something could change and Verlander could be going to another team, but it's just a 1-year deal back to the Astros. Some other ones, we got Matt's the Cardinals. Hector Neris is joining the Astros bullpen. Kirby Yates. Did you talk about that one? No.
Yates? No, I haven't.
Yeah, so Kirby Yates is to the Braves after a full year he missed. It was supposed to be the Blue Jays closer. Cobb is to the Giants. Oh yeah, the Rays also added Corey Kluber, which is one of the bigger signings to add to that starting rotation. But the Rays just continue to improve and defy all the odds and continue.
Yeah, I thought the Rays were great last year. I actually think they had a chance because they had one of the better records out of the MLB teams, but I guess they just couldn't pull it together.
Hmm. Well, the Rays also are keeping their 20-year-old phenom Wander Franco,
Oh
who
yeah.
signed that 11-year, $182 million extension. Which, when you look at it, 11 years, that's a lot, but based on his age, it makes sense. And then also the 182 million is actually definitely a surprise. Like if you were to compare it to someone like Corey Seager, who's getting a 10-year 325, and Wander Franco is getting 11 182, it's like Seager's making double even in less years. So just to look at that makes you think that the Rays don't really want to take the biggest risk in signing a guy who's as young as Wander Franco, but they do want the possibility that, like, if he doesn't pan out, or the Rays end up deciding to rebuild because they don't have that much money compared to other teams. Um, but if they end up deciding to want to move him over, because he's definitely a player who's going to be really good. So if they want to trade him over, it's not going to be that massive contract that they have to worry about. But a team would easily jump on a contract like that where he's making like roughly, what do you think that is? How many years?
Like
How many a year?
how much a year? Dude, I'm not
Yeah,
a
so
math guy.
16. Yeah, like 16 mil a year. So yeah, I
It's
mean,
good money.
yeah, it's good, especially as young he is, but like that just opens up, like, any other team would go out and trade for him and only have to pay that much. So
Yeah, and with how young he is, he's still got a lot of life left. And plus, with that, how long that contract is, anything could happen. And I don't think those Rays want to blow that money. So that's probably
definitely.
another reason.
Yeah. Um Buxton also signed an extension. He was a guy that was on a lot of minds this year because he's definitely one of those top center fielders out there if you erase those injuries he's been having. He signed a 7-year, $100 million extension back with the Twins. Um, so that a lot of teams are pretty sad to see that, as they wanted to trade for him. But I guess the Twins want to keep him around. Also, not a massive contract, just like Franco's extension, but that just keeps it open for trades. But Buxton will, if he can stay healthy for a full year, he'll put up numbers. And if the Twins continue to like decline, I definitely see him getting traded at some point.
Mm-hmm.
And then Sandy Alcantara, the Marlins ace, has signed a 5-year, $56 million extension. So he'll be returning back to Miami. Okay. So pretty sure we included all the recent some of the big ones. The Padres also got Jorge Alfaro. Um that just adds like 4 different catchers they have on their team. So they're gonna either look to put Alfaro in the outfield or trade some of those guys. But I'm pretty sure we included all the main ones. Graveman to the White Sox is also one. But yeah. So after going all those, you can realize that some of the big names are still left on the market. You want to talk about some of those guys, the big ones?
Yeah, we still got a lot of free agents that haven't decided yet and can't right now because of the lockout. But we still have Correa, Story, Freddie Freeman, who was having some money issues with the Braves. They haven't come to an agreement yet. Bryant, Castellanos, Rodon, Seager, and Rizzo, Schwarber, Rosario, Pham, Cruz, Kershaw, and Jansen.
Mm-hmm. So the biggest ones, Correa and Freeman, have were looking like they possibly could have reached an agreement towards the beginning before that lockdown happened. So I feel like if the lockdown didn't happen, I feel like definitely Freeman would have been on a team by now. Maybe not Correa because he's been weighing his options because a lot of teams are interested, and he's also looking to earn that bag this year. But Freeman, yeah, like you said, they seems obvious that he was going to go back to the Braves after being on that team last year and winning it all and being such a fan favorite. But teams like the Yankees and Dodgers have also been expressing interest and possibly trying to outbid the Braves. So we'll see when the lockout's over. But from what we've seen so far, the Braves may have to look for someone else, like make a trade for Matt Olson, maybe Rizzo, some other options. But yeah, Freeman, the Freeman story is definitely a lot of people are taking a look out for, because
Yeah.
something could definitely happen.
Do you know what teams are interested in Correa? I think I heard Yankees somewhere, but I'm not
Yeah.
sure.
So for the Correa, they showed that they I forgot who ended up sending the tweet, but it was the bigger tweet that many people saw, that it was saying how the teams have actually expressed interest or even have sent offers to Correa. We got like the Yankees, Red Sox, Cubs, Phillies, and like the Braves. So Braves could end up deciding to put Correa at third and move Riley over to first. That's also maybe if Freeman's gone. So that's an option for them. Also, if Freeman goes to another team. But it's looking right now, it's like the top teams are probably the Yankees and Phillies. But any of those teams, especially with Correa kind of just mainly going for the money this year, and rightfully so, because he had a really good year last year. But we'll see when the lockout's over where he'll end up. Do you have a prediction?
I mean, the Yankees have the money, so I think he's probably going to sign with the Yankees. We just have to wait and see.
The Yankees also have that shortstop area, and as a Yankee fan, it's been very frustrating seeing a lot of these shortstops going off the market and Yankees putting in minimal effort to sign them. But that could also mean that the Yankees have been holding off and trying to get Correa. So that would seem the obvious choice.
Yeah.
Story also, like I said, Mariners could be a fit. He may be moving to third base as well. Both Correa and Story are probably going to sign if they have the best option and they have to sign move to third. They're both willing. Chris Bryant, possibly a Blue Jay, maybe go back to the Giants. A lot of teams will be looking out for Bryant, as he has been playing many positions in the past couple of years, where he's been an outfielder, third base, first base. He's been all over the diamond. And then we also got Castellanos, which are some National League teams are looking at maybe as a DH if they end up keeping that universal DH rule, or bring it back actually. And then we got Carlos Rodon, who had a great year last year for the White Sox. Could be going to a team like the Giants or Yankees, something like that. A team looking for a good starter who could be a good number 2 or 3 guy. Kyle Seager, not going back to the Mariners. A lot of people are sad about that, but he'll definitely help a team out, as even though he's getting older, he's definitely proved to still be a top player in the game. Rizzo looking like maybe back to the Yankees if they miss out on Freeman or Olsen. But he's definitely still a good option out there. And yeah, those are the main guys so far.
What
Yeah, and
next?
also the Dodgers are actually gotta bring, because they've also already lost out on Seager and who was that? Oh, and Scherzer as well. So they're at the least they can do is sign Kershaw and Kenley Jansen back. Definitely make the fans happy if they do that. And I have a feeling that's what will happen.
Yeah, without Scherzer and Kershaw, those guys are very popular, very good pitchers for their bullpen. So without Scherzer, there's definitely a void that needs to be filled. So they're probably going to have to sign Kershaw back.
So, I mean, we're going to possibly talk about the awards, but did you have any opinions on the awards? Because that is kind of a recent news, because the 2021 awards were announced. Do you have anything to say about those?
Well, everyone was saying that Garrett Cole got snubbed out of the Cy Young. I mean, I don't really believe that. All these pitchers were playing so well, and there was just a lot of good options, and in the end he just didn't win. So he didn't get snubbed, he just didn't win, in my opinion. But definitely Ohtani deserved that MVP. He was phenomenal this year, two-way player. I mean, we haven't seen anything like this in a while. Comparing someone to Babe Ruth is really saying something, and he was just a fanatic this year.
Yeah, and also rookie of the year, not necessarily the biggest this year surprises, but we got what was his name? Infielder for the Reds. I got it right here. Totally forgot. So we had Jonathan India, who definitely was clear. He got 29 out of the 31st place votes. He definitely performed really well for the Reds throughout the year. And then we also got Randy Rosarena for the Rays. So not a very big surprise for the Rookie of the Year. We talked about the MVP. National League was Bryce Harper, who had another great year. That was a bit more of a toss-up in the National League, as players like Juan Soto and who was do you know of the other finalists it was for the National League?
Actually, I'm not too sure. But Bryce
Oh,
Harper just
Tatis.
kind
It was
of, oh
Tatis.
yeah, Tatis,
Yeah.
obviously. He just made
Yeah.
a ton of errors. That was probably why he was
Yeah.
kind of either a love-hate kind of guy. You either really liked him or you just did not like him at all.
Yeah, it was just, I feel like it was mainly because a lot of people thought it was pretty obvious because the numbers he did put up on the hittings on the like offense side was just definitely what people predicted, and also were MVP like numbers. But the fact that he had to even change his position and play the rest of the season in the outfield definitely caused him to probably stray away from the winning the MVP. But Bryce Harper's numbers um, definitely pushed him ahead and allowed him to win that MVP.
Yeah, but
Um,
like he played in the infield and then he got injured. It was something with his shoulder because of that one-handed swing, I believe. But like playing in the outfield, going from infield to outfield, that means I guess it represents his versatility in a way.
Yeah, I mean, it was more like that is pretty impressive to see him move out there, but like injuries happened, and then also some of the defense, they're kind of just trying to keep him on the field. So not necessarily a thing that the Padres wanted to do based on the defense, but to keep him to keep his health good,
Yeah.
to move him to the outfield. So yeah, not it was just mainly Bryce Harper's numbers, as he had a finish with a very, very good average, OPS, some of those stats. So for Silver Sluggers and Gold Gloves, pretty self-explanatory for most of these positions, as Vlad definitely was able to get some hardware this year after missing on the MVP, because he sadly had to go up against Ohtani, where if Ohtani didn't exist, Vlad would have been the most obvious MVP of all time. But
Without a doubt.
yeah. But so he got the Silver Slugger, and then we also got like Simeon at second. And yeah, a lot of those guys were able to get hardware if they missed out on the MVP or the Cy Young. Oh yeah, moving on. Yeah, Cy Young was also Corbin Burns for the National League, and then we also got Robbie Ray. So like you said, Garrett Cole, not necessarily snubbed, but missed out pretty close to Robbie Ray.
Yeah,
And
it was a close tie almost.
Yep. So I mean that pretty much wraps it up. We may not make another episode in the next couple of weeks as the lockout happens, but this will definitely be a reoccurring thing, especially when the lockout is over and when the season begins. So make sure you stay tuned if you are interested in baseball news and all that stuff. And make sure you comment if you have any suggestions of stuff we can talk about, or if you would actually like to join us in an episode, because we're open to any guests. This will be up on the Sage Creek Sports Lounge YouTube. And just a brief thing about Sage Creek Sports Lounge. It's a club, a group of guys at Sage Creek High School in Carlsbad, California. And we're doing professional sport podcasts and also school sports. So when you go on there, you'll see plenty of other sports in the next coming weeks. But yeah, make sure you check out everyone else's and make sure you subscribe. Anything else to say, Sutton?
No, this has been great. It's been a pleasure doing this podcast. I liked it a lot.
Yeah, we'll see you guys soon. Thank you.
Thanks, guys.